On your Thursdays, Loose Women Live. It's Christine Lampard, Sunetra Sarkar, Kelly Brook and Gloria Honeyford.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to your Thursday Loose Women Live. Coming up, as Hollywood actress Charlize Theron says she's been having the best sex of her life at 49 and not missed being in a relationship, we are asking, does society still judge single women? Also, our guest today is Jo Wood. She will be revealing how her relationship with one of rock and roll's most notorious hellraisers, Rolling Stone Ronnie Wood, influenced her first novel and why her children are too scared to read it. And
crafted in secret.
Thousands of sequins.
Hand sewn on this huge veil.
Revealed to millions.
It's a work of art.
Remembered forever.
It's the most important wedding dress in the world.
As the new Princess Diana documentary looks at the secrets behind her iconic wedding dress, we'll be taking a trip down memory lane and revealing some of our very own bridal secrets. First, though, we are starting with the story dominating the headlines this morning, and that is Rachel Reeves. She was seen crying and wiping away tears during Prime Minister's questions yesterday. Now, we don't know exactly what is going on, but Sir Keir Starmer has since said it has got nothing to do with politics, but a personal matter instead. So, is it a good thing to see our politicians show more of a human side? What did you make of it yesterday?
Well, I actually was watching the news live, and I have to say I found it sad in some ways. I find it quite upsetting. I find it quite difficult to watch because I'd never seen anybody cry like that in Parliament before. But I made just a note of different things. Upsetting. It's a human side when you're watching the human side of a politician, whom you expect to be a very tough woman delivering her budgets and everything. And the mere fact that we learned afterwards that it was a personal thing, nothing to do with politics, and we still haven't been told, and we don't necessarily need to be told, but Keir Starmer then said it's a personal thing and nothing to do with politics, so we don't know what that is yet. And apparently, before question time started, the Speaker of the House had a conversation with her that looked quite tetchy, so she had that going on. And then, of course, you have to look at the fact that women, we have all worked for decades, really, to say, look, we can do this job. We can, if you want, if that's the way you're inclined. Some women don't want to do it, but a lot of women who wanted tough jobs have been fighting for it for decades, saying we can be a CEO, we can be top of the tree. So when you see somebody top of the tree, it sort of seems a bit odd then to see that person crumble. I mean, sad in some ways. Human, we're all human, but to see that person crumble into tears. And then you have to remember as well the pressure that she is under at the moment for all the U-turns, the bad decisions that they're saying the government has made. So she's under enormous pressure. So some might argue, you can argue both sides of the coin, really. Some might say there's only so much that any one individual can take, and she's had it in piles. And the other criticism in all the papers is the fact that the Prime Minister appeared to be quite callous in that he didn't stand up for her in any of his speeches. You know, it was, in fact, I did make a note of this. Like, for example, they said that she is a human shield for his incompetence. So a lot of the newspapers implied that. That's not my statement, that's the newspapers. So it's a very complex issue. I find it quite sad. And she is human like everybody else.
I mean, it was like a scene out of Gladiator, wasn't it? I just think everyone was kind of coming for her, and even Kemi that said that was just kind of looking at her like, look at her, look, she's a total mess. You know, she can't cope with this. And I just think she's under so much pressure. She's the first woman, like you said, to have this role in Parliament. So she's under all of that pressure. And it's probably a personal thing, nothing to do with politics at all. And you just wanted the Prime Minister to turn around and just like put his arm on her and go, are you okay? But there's just no room for it.
I don't think he actually saw it happening.
Do you not think he saw it?
No, because if you think about it, the cameras were facing him and he was arguing with Kemi Badenoch, who's on the other side. So his focus is all that way. And we can see as the audience that she's just below him. And he never literally dipped his head down because he's defending his whole team, I suppose. So I felt like he might have been unaware of it happening.
Only might.
I know, but there's
Because
more
the focus
chance he
was all
wasn't.
on her. I mean, everybody was looking at her.
Of course,
and
but if
she
he
was
didn't-
just
She's under so much
so-
scrutiny at the moment,
Exactly.
and I think that moment for me, you know, obviously we have so many opinions on all of these decisions they're making and how are they going to pay for all of this, and I think that moment it kind of humanised her in a way that nothing has so far,
And if he
you
had-
realise
if he had
actually
clocked it-
she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders
Well, yeah,
right
but if
now.
he had clocked it, the cameras would have been all on him clocking her, and what would he was, I think, protecting her by not.
Do you feel like she
drawing
let
focus.
women down in that moment?
No, I don't think she let women down at all. I think she tried her best not to cry. And as an actor, I know when we are trying to not... When you try to cry as a role, the first thing you think to do is to try not to cry. Because the more you try not to cry, the more you start crying. And we've all been there when you know, I don't want to cry, I don't want this person to see me cry. And then they just start spilling out your ears, out your eyes.
She's a very good actress. She's amazing.
I was sort of like tears everywhere. But I do feel like she didn't want to be crying there. She didn't want...
Well, of course she didn't want
but
to
it makes you
cry.
wonder
If
how
it happens,
much...
it
And she doesn't want
happens.
all the criticism.
But if it happens,
of course
it
she doesn't
happens,
want
Gloria.
it.
If somebody-
But that's not the issue. The issue is
she
that
can't
it's
help
been
it.
piled on her.
It has been piled on her.
How
Yes.
can we
But in that
stop that
moment,
from
when you're
happening?
crying about something personal, how much are you supposed to, in that role, just compartmentalise and not think about that thing that's just happened outside? We all work
If
in
she
showbiz.
could, she
Once
would
the cameras are
What do you
on,
think,
you
Christine?
kind of compartmentalise and you just got to focus on the job in hand.
The Prime Minister did say afterwards, apparently, I didn't appreciate what was happening because PMQs is pretty wild. It goes from question to question, and I'm literally up and down looking at who's asking me the question, thinking about my responses and getting up and answering it. Basically, he's sort of saying he wasn't aware of what was happening. That's for him to know and us, you know, have to believe that. I think the difficulty is you go into politics knowing what it is, certainly when you're in that gladiatorial bear pit that is Parliament and MP or Prime Minister questions particularly. It's a tough world. So you have to be made of stern stuff. I couldn't do it. So I, you know, put my hands up and appreciate anyone that can. But equally so, I think there's been so many decisions. There'll be a lot of people at home affected by those decisions.
Of course.
Like the winter allowance, for instance, fuel allowance. I'm sure there were a lot of pensioners crying over that. So I think as a politician, you do have to.
Well, you saw the markets fluctuate as soon as it happened.
It did, but
so we're so vulnerable. We're on that world stage. What does that send out to the rest of the world?
It is. Having said that, if this is what we're being told that it's actually not politics, it's a personal issue. We all know, no matter what your job is, if there's something happening at home,
Well, we
that
have
overrides
all
everything
cried in
that
this
you
programme,
do.
haven't we?
And so from that perspective, just as a human, you can't help but feel for someone, you know,
Sure.
if it's away from the political bit. But it's like you say, how it looks on the world stage, I guess. You know, you can imagine what Donald Trump, for instance,
She's a
might
very
be
vulnerable
thinking
lady
in
at
those
the moment,
moments,
anyway.
you know.
Very vulnerable.
It is, yeah, exactly that. Very vulnerable indeed. Yeah, let us know what you think. We'll read out some of your comments in a little bit. Also, speaking to patients at Colchester Hospital yesterday, Princess Catherine opened up about her own cancer recovery journey and the pressure she felt to try and carry on as normal.
We put on sort of brave-faced stoicism through treatment. Treatment's done.
Yes.
So I can crack on and get back to normal again, but actually the phase afterwards is really, is a really difficult journey. You're not necessarily in the clinical team any longer, but you're not able to function normally at home as you perhaps once used to.
So difficult, isn't it, Sinead? It is trying to find your new normal.
Yeah, it really blindsides you as well when you get these diagnoses. And I've only watched really close friends of mine go through this. And one in particular, the way she wanted us to support her was by joining in the positivity that she really, really needed us to have. And she kept saying, no tilted heads, I don't want any tears. I'm writing this text with a smile on my face to tell you I have grade 4. It's like really tough stuff she was asking from us to support her by being positive. And she was so positive. You couldn't avoid how she was trying everything. She was holistic this and every different solution she could find. And what I found really difficult was, along with being really upbeat and positive as every time I saw her, there was no space for us to have some real conversations which would be sad about what's going to happen, what would you like us to do for you in your, all those sort of more...
The awful what if.
Some of those sadder questions. And of course, we stayed so positive right up until the day she died that we didn't get some of the conversations I would have maybe liked to have had we been allowed to not be as positive all the way through it. But I completely respect it was her decision. She did it her way. We carry on being positive for her when we talk about it. But I think that's what you have to do. You have to ask them, how do you want me to support you? And then you have to just go with what they say, however hard it might be for you.
Yeah. I guess it's difficult, isn't it? Like trying to go through anything when it comes to cancer or any kind of terminal illness. It's like you said, the new normal. And I think even at Christmases now my father's passed away, like, you know, it's this unsaid thing, like we all kind of get on with it and we all pretend that Christmas is a lovely time to get together, but it's just such a reminder of how things were and how things are now, and it will never be the same, and we will never make the memories that we used to make. And you just put on this brave face, which is what I think...
We all wear the mask.
We do.
I call it the mask because... in a way, what option do you have? I mean, in my case, I mean, to have your child diagnosed with cancer, your world turns upside down and you don't know how to treat it. But I do believe, having watched Karen fight her cancer for 7 years, that the individual who is suffering that or any other condition, I think they should have the choice of how they deal with it. And in my case, the turmoil inside my head was just, I can't explain just how tough it was. But I had to tap into Karen's attitude. Now, she had incredible tenacity. She was going to beat it. If she didn't beat it, she would cope with it. And so that positivity that you talked about, you see, you have to tap into what they want and how they want to deal with it, because I think that's the only fair way. And no matter what's going inside yourself, in this case, with your child, you have to tap into how you're going to be of use to your child and help that child through, no matter what age the child is. And so it's a very tough thing. But I think that, having watched Karen for 7 years, I think that Kate is dealing with it very, very well, because she's measuring out how much she wants to do publicly and her royal duties, how much she wants to be at home with her children and her husband. And she has been quoted as saying that her strength and the ties with her husband and children have grown even stronger. And I think something like that will bring out what's important in life and what you want out of your life. So I think she's doing a very good job. I do.
And also, Gloria, the importance and how much we all appreciate her candid nature to this, and how she is speaking in the way that will resonate with so many people. And I think to hear her speak like that is such an important, important position that she's in, but I think it really will allow people to understand what she's been going through, because they are also going through it as well.
And the King as well, when you think of how he talks so openly about his, the way he was dealing with it. It also, I think, helps people understand that maybe they're not on their own, or it's not their family, that it can happen to anybody. And that's the truth, of course. It can happen to anybody, any family. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much power you have. If you've nothing, doesn't really matter, because it can hit anybody. So Kate, I think Kate is doing a really, with Princess, I should say, calling her Kate.
It's like we know her personally,
say
isn't
Kate.
it? Yes. If you have been affected by anything that we have just talked about, support is available. Please head to our website for a list of helplines. Still to come, her debut novel is full of romantic entanglements, but are any of them inspired by her marriage to rocker Ronnie Wood? Find out later as Jo Wood joins us at 1 p.m. And as Oscar winner Charlize Theron reveals she is perfectly happy living life on her own, we are asking, does society still judge single women? See you after this.